Hi there, welcome to Taurus-Some Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Taurus energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. We all have our free will, and the top row could represent how some people would like to move forward in their life, but the bottom row can represent our more shadowy nature of fear and insecurities and kind of like to stay in our comfort zone. And so some people right now could be battling within themselves. They might like to move forward in life differently, but you know, we have to overcome those fears and insecurities to, if there's something about the way we're living our life that we kind of have some conflict with. And some people aren't having conflict within themselves, and they're not battling within themselves, and they're happy living their life the way they live it. We could wish other people would do life differently, but they could be happy living their life. People could want us to live life differently, and we're happy living our life. So at any given moment, there's some people that could be moving forward, having hope and faith and belief in their dreams, and other people could be not aligning with that aspect of themselves, and they could be more caught up in themselves or the world or ego or image or indulgence, and they're sure that will make them happy. So just like all the other zodiac signs, the ones regarding our emotions and our thoughts and our worldly nature and our creative inspired nature, we're kind of looking for people who kind of seem to be on the same page as us. And Taurus does have to do with our kind of philosophy of life that guides the decisions that we make in our life. And we're all at where we're at. We view life the way we view it. We want to hang out with people who view life that way. And the truth sets us free. We just need to see who is more on the same page as us, who isn't, and kind of get out of our ego about it. If they view life differently than us, if they're motivated and inspired by different things, and we know that's not our truth, and our truth isn't their truth, we're just kind of on different pages. Okay, so for the reason for the bottom row's reading, it's not showing itself, and it's a Queen of Wands, which could be that, and the reason for the top row's reading is the Three of Wands. I view the Three of Wands, they're both fire sign energy, but the Three of Wands can be that you do take action, listen to your intuition, kind of face your fears and insecurities to take action to try to bring your dream into reality. And some people maybe aren't confident within themselves, kind of operate more from their worldly egoic nature, could make their life more about the world. Shadowy Taurus can be where you do get caught up more in the world, and it's more about the ego or the image or the status or the money, and it's not about listening to your intuition and being more creative and inspired maybe and living your more authentic life. It can be about conforming to the world, and for some people that is their truth. And for other people, they don't want to make their life about conforming to the world. Because that can be like all these things of like, you should do this and you shouldn't do that, and you should act like this, not like that, dress like this, not like that. You know, it's kind of, Taurus can be all these rules and regulations in our head that we could have gotten from our family, from our community, our state, our country. Do we live our more authentic life, or do we make our life about more conforming to the world and what other people tell us to do instead of living? You know, we were given our intuition and our creativity and our imagination to try to give birth to new things. You know, high vibe energy is about giving birth to new things, being bold and brave enough, because if nobody ever listened to their intuition in life, we'd still be cave people, you know? And luckily there are some people in the world that's like, but I am creative and inspired, and I do have these ideas, and I do have my imagination, and I think we could take the good building blocks that we've seen are good building blocks, and then there's things I think we could add to it. There comes a time where you've got to get out of your ego. I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy, and The queens can represent how we think and how we feel, and the masculine cards can represent how we present ourselves in the world and the action that we're taking in the world. But how do we really think and feel? And we all have been more immature, more codependent, more caught up in the world. And we lived our life like that, thinking it would make us happy. And at the end of the bottom row, we have the Eight of Cups, which is all these things I went and made my life about that I thought would make me happy. I could have found it superficial and shallow, or I could have found it confusing. And that's when some people offer themselves that cup of love to become more independent of their more fear or ego or worldly view of life. And they get out of their ego and they start to listen to their intuition and have hope and faith and belief in their dreams and their own unique dreams. You know, we can grow up with people and they have their way of living life that to them is like living the dream life. And then they tell us we should live our life like that. It's like, so you want me to go bowling every Sunday, or you want me to do this, or, you know, what drives and motivates me? And I'm my own unique person. I have my own unique talent, skills, and interests. I have my own things that I find emotionally fulfilling. And so the Eight of Cups is going to the Nine of Cups to be more independent of the past and of their ego and their more immature nature and codependent nature, to go live their more authentic life. And some people aren't ready to do that. So let's jump up to the top row. The reason for the top row's reading, again, is the Three of Wands, which is kind of like how we expected our dreams to come into reality. And sometimes we get in some mismatched relationships, friendships, workplaces, and their idea of how they thought it was going to come into reality is different than our idea. And that's when we could realize that maybe in our Taurus and our Aries and our Leo energy, kind of what motivates and inspires us is different. Some people are a little bit more about themselves, about ego and image, conforming to the world, and some other people are more inspired to live their more authentic life. Some people could be more bossy and controlling and could think it should be more about them. And if you're going to work together with people, it should be working together cooperatively. And if it's romantic, it should be based on love, not ego or fear or codependency. And love is where you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And for some people, that's not their philosophy. You know, it's more about me, or I should be able to manipulate you, or you should indulge me in my shadowy ways of being, you know? So let's go look at the top row. We start out with a card not showing itself, and the way... Well, let's go look at it. The Hierophant, which is Taurus energy. I had a way of living life, and I was kind of moving forward in that way of living life. But sometimes we realize in the Seven of Swords that the way I'm moving forward, wait a minute, if I keep doing that, I don't know if my dreams are going to come into reality. Both the Three of Wands can be about wanting your dreams to come into reality, and the Seven of Swords can be about that too. That we could kind of move forward in something and then we think someone's kind of creating an illusion. Or we could be in a situation with people that we thought was going to be a victory worth defending in the Seven of Wands. But maybe as time goes by, we kind of realize that, I don't know, we could harness our Scorpio energy different in the Seven of Cups. We could have thought everybody was motivated and inspired to stand up for themselves, be inspired by deep, meaningful relationships. And then we could realize that some people are kind of indulging themselves in a relationship, and it is kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial. And it's like, wait a minute, I want to move forward with people who aren't trying to confuse me about the truth of who they are Are you motivated and inspired to work together with me cooperatively from a place of love? Or is there something else that drives and motivates you? And sometimes we can get in relationships with people, we don't know their philosophy of life. And we get in a relationship and we're trying to figure out what each other's truth is. And I have a dream, you have a dream. Do we think, we kind of have the same dream? Are we both willing to stand up and defend this? Or are we both willing to move forward with it? Or is one person kind of more defensive? And, we got to work through those situations in workplaces and friendships and relationships. And there can come a point in time in different relationships that we're in, from the Seven of Wands to the Eight of Wands, how we want to move forward. That would be adding that one wand to it about what motivates and inspires us. And it could be how we harness our Sagittarius energy. Our High Vibe Sagittarius is about going on this adventure in life. Life's about learning lessons. Let's go on this adventure. We're going to learn lots of lessons. I'm inspired to learn lessons. It's not all going to be easy. At times it will be confusing because Seven of Cups Scorpio talks about that we're these emotionally complex human beings. And, that in itself can be confusing. But do we have hope and faith and belief that we're on the same page? Do we have a common dream? And we can be in relationships with people for a long time. And when it does get to be where maybe one person could be ready to maybe detach from an old way of living life or viewing life, the Seven of Wands down to the Three of Wands is letting go of the Four of Wands. Like, I'm willing to become independent more of my friend group or my original family or something, of being more them being the primary foundation of my life, that if I am going to move forward with you, I kind of become more independent of that foundation to move forward with you. And we together are going to work together to two Four of Wands, like two people that are more inspired within themselves to be more independent, because high vibe energy is about being more independent. Then we move forward together with ease because we're both kind of independent of issues from our past and inspired by this new dream. And some people, those are the people they're focusing their time and attention on, is people who they think have shown them they're kind of on the same page. They want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. They do have hope and faith and belief in themselves, in other people, in love. And so they work cooperatively together to bring that dream into reality. And sometimes there's some people in our life who are defensive to that could have wanted to move forward with us, say it's like a workplace or something, but they're kind of defensive, maybe to kind of go with the flow because they are kind of defensive and they might like to live more from their mind than their heart. And other people could be more inspired to just go with the flow and listen to their intuition and not get so caught up in their head and up in their mind or trying to control people or in their fear or insecurity. And sometimes as we go through a life experience, there's going to be some people who are going to be defensive to us moving forward like that, other people moving forward like that. And are we going to let people who might be defensive to us going on our own adventure, listening to our own intuition, believing in our own dreams stop us? Or do we kind of see through the emotional confusion of it, that, well, they have their way of living life and everybody kind of lives their life in a way that makes them feel safe and secure and stable and grounded. And they have their way of living life and things they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into. But mine is different, just like theirs is different from mine. And we can wish people peace and love, but it's kind of like your philosophy of life in your Taurus energy is different than mine. The reason why you might take certain jobs or get in certain friendships or get in certain relationships or stay in them might be different than why I do. And high vibe would be, I'm motivated and inspired to get justice, to be honest, to be authentic, to be loving, to be supportive and encouraging. And those are the people that I want to be in a relationship with. And if there's people in my life who kind of have a different dream or are defensive to listening more to their intuition or being in deep, meaningful relationships, well, then they're not kind of on the same page as me. And sometimes, we can be at the beginning of the journey. We get in new jobs, friendships, or relationships. We don't realize we kind of have a different philosophy of life. And then we're in a relationship with them. We're trying to move things forward, and eventually over time, but everybody's willing to see the truth at different times in their life, where some of the people that we can be in a relationship with really don't want us to live our life like that. They might want to stay in the relationship, but they might not want to be more independent or be more authentic or to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship. And it can be really confusing and really get us up in our head because we view those people as someone we want to move forward with and view it as victorious, but we can stay in it. And some people right now are defending it and staying in a situation because they keep thinking their dreams are going to come into reality. And until they are willing to see the truth that some of the people in their life might want them more to indulge them or keep moving forward in it, but, oh, by the way, your dream really isn't going to come into reality. It's more my dream, and then until those people are willing to see the truth of it, they'll keep defending it. So there again, we could have people that we wish would move forward more with us and be more on the same page as us, but they could still be defending a way of living life and viewing life, and they're just not ready to move forward in life differently. So high vibe people deal with the truth because the truth sets you free. We're on different pages right now, the way we view life, kind of maybe what drives and motivates us. And some people can be in relationships, other people can be out of relationships. People aren't free to move forward with other people. And until, if theirs is a victorious, successful relationship, of course they're going to stay in it. And, it's just confusing. But high vibe people are like, I have to accept the truth. If there's people in my life, some of the people in your life, were deceptive and manipulative, are more prideful, egotistical, manipulative, more about themselves, and you've already moved on from those people, but then you could have communicated with some other people that this is how I'm moving forward. Do you want to move forward with me? Some of those people were defensive to it. And it's like, peace be with y'all, but I'm moving forward with or without you people. I could love people, but everybody is where they're at. I have to accept the truth that people have their defensiveness, their fears, caught up in the world, caught up in things that can manipulate them. I wish you peace, but I am not going to get caught up in the emotional confusion of it. I'm going to stay focused on truth and love from the 8 of Wands down to the 3 of Wands, letting go of the 5 of Wands. getting out, which is also Leo energy, I'm going to get out of my inner conflict about it. I'm going to get out of my ego about it. I accept that people are investing their time, energy, and effort into things that drive and motivate them. I don't have to understand why. I just have to know I can only have my dream come into reality with people who are inspired by that same dream. And if they're not, they're not. And I'm going to keep moving forward, meeting other people in the world. And the people in my life who are moving forward with me, I'll keep working with them. And the people who I meet and that I'm presently know in my life, we'll get to know them more to see if they're people who are willing to get more out of their ego, which can be their defensive nature, being more about themselves nature, caught up in the world, or immaturity and indulgence. I'm looking for people who I can have my dream come into reality. And as some of you are moving forward, you will meet people who've kind of went through this similar life experience as you, that have kind of been waiting for someone else to get out of jobs, friendships, and relationships that were more of a mismatch, that is more of a counterpart to them. And then as you move forward, you're going to kind of be putting in work and effort to bring your dreams into reality, hoping that there'll be other people who are kind of more on the same page as you that you'll meet that will say, hey, I'm kind of more on the same page as you. And whoever you meet and whoever communicates with you, you have learned these lessons in life, that some people aren't being authentic, that some people aren't motivated and inspired by love, that people are more wearing a false mask, kind of create a mental construct and illusion about their personality that I'm this type of person, you should be in a relationship with me, but that's really not the truth of who they are. And they really are more defensive to being in deep, meaningful relationships or taking more creative, inspired action in their life. They really are more about maybe conforming to the world or being about themselves, or ego or image or immaturity or indulgence. And I think as you're moving forward, you're standing up for yourself, protecting your dream, listening to your intuition, and you want to be available, that if someone who does seem to be the right person, that you don't take action more out of fear or insecurity or lust or greed or whatever, and get yourself in a relationship that you shouldn't have gotten into to begin with. And so you're continuing standing up for yourself, but listening to your intuition as you move forward about the different people in your life, who seems to be the people that are more on the same page as me, who are the people who aren't, the people who harness a more shadowy Aquarius Leo, where you're harnessing a more high vibrational Aquarius Leo. You're moving away and distancing yourself from people who are kind of in this more shadowy energy. And you're letting your intuition guide you, and to keep getting out of your ego about it and your competitive nature and your conflicted nature, that my dreams can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as me. So I wish everyone peace, hope they enjoy their life, but I'm going to keep moving forward, believing in my dreams. And as we move forward in our life, there's always going to be high vibe and shadowy people in the world. We have to keep dealing with it within ourselves. And we have the free will. Do we align with our more shadowy nature or our more high vibe nature? Do we get more involved in relationships with people who we think are kind of more shadowy or more high vibe? And the people that you meet, I think you'll just kind of get to know them to find out what their truth is and what drives and motivates them. And again, the people's like, oh, you're still in that kind of energy. Okay, well, wish you peace. I'm going to keep moving on. And the people who you see are more on the same page as you, you're going to keep moving forward with them. Having hope and faith and belief that what some people don't know about you with this card not showing itself, High Vibe Taurus is about walking the talk. Now, there's a lot of people in the world who try to present themselves as, I'm this stable, grounded, emotionally balanced, loving, nurturing person. You should get in a relationship with me, but they're being deceptive. And it's just to try to stop you. It's almost like not as harsh. What was that movie about Hunger Games? It's kind of like light and dark battling in the world. And there's always shadowy people who want to be the next person to kind of indulge in a relationship with someone who's creative and inspired and loving and encouraging, but they're not really that type of person. But it would be good for their ego and their image for some reason to be in a relationship with you. Like, it looks like I moved on. It looks like I changed. It looks like I healed. Look who I'm in a relationship with. They wouldn't be in a relationship with me if I was that type of person. And there's some people doing that right now, trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, being deceptive and manipulative, creating an illusion with someone that they are something other than what they are, and eventually the people that they're in a relationship, if not already, will kind of see that the dream keeps not coming into reality because this person is really defensive. There's some things they need to work through and detach from to move forward being more authentic and loving, and not just trying to present the illusion they're that type of person. And eventually the people in their life realize the truth, and they work through their emotional confusion about it, and they see the truth and they move on. And then those people go try to confuse someone else about the truth of who they are, right? But what some people from your past, your present, your future, if you're kind of a more of a person who tries to create an illusion in the world, well, you think other people are just creating an illusion in the world, and that people really are more driven by lust and greed and pride and ego and fear and insecurity. And some of those people are going to try to manipulate you, and they're going to find out that you harness high vibe Taurus energy. You've already been in relationships with people who harness a more shadowy Taurus energy, and you kept them out of your life. And then as they get to know you, they'll see that you really are who you say you are, that they can't manipulate you and control you, and those people are going to have to go off and find someone else to manipulate and control or get to indulge them, because you're not doing that, and you're not going to be in a relationship like that anymore. And some people could be kind of defensive because it would be like a dream to be in a relationship with you, but they got these issues they need to work through. They need to quit being defensive, quit being egotistical, quit being manipulative, and be authentic. And some people don't want to do that. So I think you're going to move forward, not settling for the illusion. And you're not, the Five of Wands, the difference between the 8 and the 3, you're no longer aligned with your more worldly, competitive, letting your ego kind of run your life. Because you've learned enough lessons in life that if I act more out of pride, ego, fear, insecurity, codependency, I'm going to get in relationships with other people who are happy that I'm in that energy because they're in that energy. And if I've already been in that life experience and realized I don't care for it, I did this work within myself, this shadow work within myself, to free myself from my more worldly view of life. And now I look at life from a higher perspective. I keep things in perspective. I'm inspired to stand up for what I believe in. I'm not going to move forward with an illusion. The illusion isn't good enough. It can't quack like love, look like love, but not really be love. If people aren't inspired to work together with me in a just and fair and authentic and loving way, then they can go find someone else to be in a relationship, and I'll just keep moving on, enjoying my life, my friends, my family, my job, my career, and the relationships that I'm in. And sometimes we're already in like those type of romantic relationships, and it's just other people that try to, it's like the devil's always tempting us to be more in our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego and be more about ourselves. And the high vibe people that are already in those like romantic relationships like that, if they're both in high vibe energy, neither one of them is being tempted by that, because they know if they do it, it's not going to get them what they want. You can't plant bad seeds and expect to get a good harvest. And they've learned those lessons. And if you who are single are looking for that type of relationship, you know that you have to walk the talk and be in that energy so that when other people who are in that energy come into your life, you're able to move forward with them in that energy, right? Okay, let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the Six of Swords, the Hermit, the Page of Wands, and the Nine of Cups. So, again, the Queens can talk about how we think and how we feel. And I think for the first maybe 30, 40 years of our life, we are kind of operating a little bit more from ego, and we're not. You know, there's these things of the world that we're really motivated and inspired by, and we want to go indulge in them, we want to go experience them, we want to manifest certain things in the world. And we could be in the Page of Wands and more codependent energy instead of really having more confidence in ourselves and believing in our dreams. And so initially, we're kind of caught up in the worldly dream. Aquarius is also represented by the Star card. I want these things of the world, and I have these things that I want to emotionally invest in that I'm sure will make me happy. But we could maybe not really be listening to our intuition, because kind of in our ego, we're like, no, I'm sure these things will make me happy, and I don't know if my dreams would really come into reality, and I don't maybe really love and believe in myself yet. So I'm going to emotionally invest in the world. And I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus energy. That's what I love. I love the world. I want to go invest in the things of the world and all these things that I'm sure if I invest in those things in the Six of Swords, like the Seven of Swords, my dreams will come into reality. I am sure this is the truth. This is the way to go. If I do this, my dreams will come into reality. But our more hopeful, believing inner child nature that wants us to be more independent and bold and brave and confident and believe in our dreams could feel like we're hiding from the truth, because we could move forward in things that kind of cause us some mental conflict and maybe some defensiveness. By worldly standards, it might look good, it might look victorious and successful, like a victory worth defending. But we could kind of be hiding that we're kind of more in it a little bit more out of codependency. And, you know, we were all children and we all grew up in families, and we looked to other people to be a loving, nurturing, supportive person to us and provide stability and security for us. But there comes a time where we are meant to become more independent from our more worldly codependent nature, because otherwise we keep staying in more codependent energy and we're not a child anymore, like looking for someone to be our mom or our dad in our life, right? And we're meant to learn to love ourselves, work through our fears and our insecurities and our egoic nature, to look at life from a higher perspective, have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves, and, you know, stand up for what we believe in. But, you know, we do have to come in contact with all these different people in the world. Part of coming in contact with all these different people in the world is we're not really clear about what our truth is. You know, how do I want to live my life? Boy, those people look like they're having fun. I'm going to go hang out with them. And then it's to hang out with them, and it's like, is this my truth or isn't this my truth? And then, well, wow, look at those people. They seem to act like this and have this, and that seems stable, or that seems happy. I'll go hang out with those people. I think that's my truth. And then, you know, it's just all these subtle differences as we get to know all these different people, because everyone else is this emotionally complex human being that has all their fears and their insecurities and their defensiveness and their ego nature and immature nature. And, you know, it's all trying to learn all these lessons. And then hopefully as we learn go through those life experiences and we work through our fears of becoming maybe more independent from some of those relationships. These could be like, first, it can be just our original family. You know what? I was a child, I was more codependent, now I want to be more independent. And then I have to do this inner work to kind of love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams and take my more hopeful believing spirit to become more independent, get out of my ego and kind of face my fears about just being more independent. And then, the next phase is the friendships we get in, the jobs we get in, the romantic relationships we get in. Are we continuing that when we see that we could get in relationships with people who want us to be in more codependent energy, or where we kind of give up on our dreams or being more authentically ourselves or being more inspired by our own dreams because they want us to make it more about them, which would be, it's one thing to be encouraging and supportive of other people in their dreams, but hopefully, sometimes some people already know what their dream is and they're putting work and effort into it. Other people aren't quite sure what their dream is, and you have to have more life experience to kind of realize what kind of motivates and inspires you. And like, wow, I think I really like landscaping. I never even thought I'd like landscaping, but gee, I think I'd like to work for a landscaping company. Maybe I'd want to start my own business, or, just whatever people kind of learn as they go through life. You get exposed to more things. And then when you have a dream that you would kind of like to move forward with, that's when some of the people in your life can kind of become defensive to you because they were kind of used to you making your life just more about them. And the same way I had kind of made the analogy between parents and child earlier, well, sometimes the reverse can happen where some children want to become more independent and parents can kind of have conflict about that. It's like, well, I wanted them to be stable and successful and victorious, but I still kind of wanted it to be more about me. And, I was supposed to still be the primary focus in their life, even if they do get in relationships with other people or get married to other people. And the opposite can happen too, where some children want you to keep indulging them like you did when they were a child. And it's like, honey, go create your own life, and they can be defensive to it, and they don't like that you're kind of moving on to the next phase of your life. It's like, no, get back here and do life the way we used to do it. It's like, that phase of life is over, pumpkin. You are not a child anymore. I am moving on. I have my own dreams, and now I can focus on those things. And sometimes the children don't like it because they like you to stay kind of indulging them more like a parent would a child, even though they're an adult. And then we can get in relationships with people who are like that too, where they like to get in relationships maybe with people who are more loving and nurturing, who maybe don't believe in themselves as much or believe they can manifest their dreams into reality and play that role in their life, and they like that way of being in a relationship. But then as time goes by, you could work through, we'll all repeat certain patterns until we kind of work through them and kind of realize I don't want to repeat that old pattern. And maybe I was used to, and I think, having grown up in a more patriarchal society, it can be where people kind of do give up their dreams, and the more nurturing, loving people in the partnership, whether you're male or female, might be the person who's always assumed to give up their dreams to support and encourage other people or raise the children. But once that phase of life could be done, then when the other people have the opportunity to kind of invest in their own dreams, again, that's where some people can be defensive. And it's like, well, I thought we were always going to do this. It's like, that was a stage of life, and now it's to go to the next stage of life, and I could still want you to come with me, and I love you, but you know, we had this idea of what the dream would look like. And I, at one time, could have thought, but how do you know what you're going to think that you want maybe in 10 years or 20 years? You don't know. But I think loving people offer love and encouragement to the people they're with to work through their own mental conflict and fears and insecurities. But the whole relationship could change. Maybe it was more willing to compromise because of these things of the world that we wanted to manifest. But then as we keep moving forward in it, we kind of could be a little confused because I thought this was going to make me happy, but things do need to change and relationships need to grow and mature over time. And then we could find that we're in relationships with people who are like, no, I want to keep moving forward just the way it was, where we don't ever become independent of this way of viewing life or viewing relationships. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I might not be more bold and brave and confident to live my more authentic life. And at one time, you were more caught up in the world and willing to move forward with me in that way. And then both people can kind of be confused. The one person is wondering, why does this person even think this way? Because in high vibe Aquarius, you do kind of look at life differently. You're more willing to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. And some people are like, I wasn't ever planning on doing that. I thought we were going to do this and we were going to make our life about this. And I thought we were going to move forward like that forever. But that can be the problem if a relationship was a more codependent relationship, is generally children do grow up and mature themselves and they kind of want to spread their wings and fly, right? And if one person was happy with it being a more codependent relationship, they're still more in codependent energy. They don't like that the other person has become, maybe worked through some self-limiting beliefs or heartbreak or whatever it could have been to be more independent because they didn't do that work. And they could have kind of created the illusion that they were willing to do that work because, that's kind of generally the impression when we get in a relationship, that we will work together to work through our own fears and insecurities, to not be manipulated by our more immature, self-indulgent, bossy, controlling, self-centered nature, right? And to just be more independent and independent of the past. Sometimes people got in a relationship with people and they didn't realize that from the get-go, some of those people were being deceptive. No, my friend group or my original family, that is my primary foundation. I might marry you, I might have children with you, I might make it look like a dream's coming into reality with you, but they are my primary foundation. And if anyone in that foundation is defensive to me moving forward with you, sorry. I'm going to have to let you go because these people are my primary foundation that I look to for my sense of stability or security or worth or value, or I'm more emotionally attached to them. And that's when you can kind of feel that someone was just kind of indulging in an illusion that they were willing to bring a dream into reality. But a dream can't come into reality if they're more about themselves, about the world, about their ego, about their image, them, or they're codependent on other people that, if those people don't move forward like that, then they won't move forward like that. Or if at some time those people tell them, wait a minute, I don't like this, don't go with those people, come back here, then they'll go back there and defend those people, right? I'm not willing to become independent of those people. And it can be really confusing because, just like people can be more codependent on the world to validate their worth and value, and they get more about ego and image and money or power or social clout than love. And then you kind of realize, and the whole thing was to try to help you see the truth you have a dream. Your dream is different than their dream. When people are deceptive and defensive, it's kind of like trying to get you to see a truth that you weren't seeing before. You can be tempted to keep indulging them and defending it. And you work through your own issues about why would I do that? And I don't like people trying to manipulate me. I don't like people trying to control me or using the love that I have for them to manipulate me. That's not love. And if I have a dream and I'm just looking for people to let me be independent, where I can live my more authentic life just like I let them be independent and live their more authentic life. And some people are like, oh, but I don't want you to be independent. I'm not independent. I might seem like I'm independent, but I'm codependent on the world or these other things or my ego or whatever. And people work through it and they become independent of it. And just like some of you have done that, and you could be standing up for yourself, and there might be people you could get in a relationship with if you wanted to make it look like your dreams had come into reality, that you've moved on. But if the only people that you've met are people where it would be more creating an illusion, you're not doing that. You know, I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to keep moving forward in my life, keep working through not getting in my ego, my competitive nature, my conflicted nature, keep having hope and faith and belief in my dreams. You know, you're moving forward. And then it kind of leaves it up to other people to decide what they're going to do. And some other people in your life, from your past, from your present, people in your future that you meet, have to work through all this way of how they viewed relationships, how to get along with people, being more about themselves or being more immature, or creating an illusion of love without really doing love, and being more immature or whatever. And there's going to be some people that are like, why do I do this? You know, that person seems to be happy and confident and independent. Why am I not living my life more like that? Why do I do what I do? How am I living my life? Why am I in the relationships I'm in? What about the people I'm in relationship with? Why are they in relationship with me? What drives and motivates them? Is it love, or is it more codependency? Is it ego? Do I want to be more independent? Do I want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship? Do I believe in myself, believe in my dreams? And sometimes, you know, it's just friendship, but everybody can have people in their life that are like, well, I don't like you hanging out with that person. That person's more independent. That person's more whatever. They're different than us. You should stay here. Turn your back on those people. Ignore those people. But even if it's friends, it's like, but I like that person. They do inspire me to look at life differently. Why are you so afraid of me looking at life differently? Well, they look at life differently than we look at life. I'm afraid you might get some weird ideas in your head. It's like, they just inspire me to love and believe in myself. Do you inspire me? Do you want me to love and believe in myself? Well, you know, and if they work through those things in their relationship, maybe they'd all be willing, like, okay, you know, you love me, right? It's not that you're going to want to become single for me. It's like, no, I love you, but I am my own person, and I might enjoy this person, and they just inspire me to love and believe in myself. Oh, okay, well, then you can go hang out with those people. But, you know, sometimes if somebody were to become single, some other people in your life that you're friends with who are married, sometimes those people won't want those people to hang out with you because they're afraid they're going to think they want to be single, and it's like, you know, let's get out of our fear and our insecurity. This person is not trying to tempt me to do that. They want me to stay in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging. But they also want me to love and believe in myself, to live my more authentic life and not let people try to manipulate and control me out of their own fear or insecurity. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? Well, if they're in a relationship with someone who's trying to encourage them to move forward and they're defensive to it, that could be a problem. Those people might detach from them. Page of Swords in reverse and the Five of Cups in reverse, and the reason is because of the Strength card. So we in the past could have rejected our truth and kind of loving and believing in ourselves because in our past and maybe when we were children, people didn't move forward with us in the way we wanted them to move forward. And we kind of could have gotten in our ego about it and fearful. And we also could have been in relationships with people who were kind of more manipulative and controlling of us or bossy. And we could have kind of been repeating that pattern. And we kind of just didn't listen to our own hopeful, believing inner child nature. And it made us sad, but we kind of kept doing it. And people wondered, why do I do that? And so they worked through their fears and their insecurities that they had. Like, part of me wants to, and that's our dualistic nature. It's this battle within ourselves. Part of ourself wants to keep doing things the way we've done it. And our more hopeful, believing, inspired nature wants us to temper our fears and insecurities and let go of our more immature pain and heartbreak nature. Realize everyone's not the same. We've come in contact with all these different people in the world. We've learned lessons that we can now clearly more see when people are being deceptive or manipulative or bossy or controlling or more prideful or materialistic or self-indulgent or looking for people to indulge them, or they're more immature. We've learned these lessons. So now, once we do that work within ourselves to temper our fears and insecurities, when we let go, which kind of the cards being turned in reverse, we could have let go of defending people who hurt us, who don't work with us cooperatively in love, because that's what the Five of Cups can talk about, or being defensive to moving forward in life because we have this fear of people not working cooperatively with us or rejecting us or not loving us, so we kind of stay in our comfort zone. And when we work through that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to temper my fears and my insecurities. When we kind of detach from aligning with that within us, we're willing to detach from people in our life who wanted us to stay in that energy, maybe because to some degree they're in that energy. And it's like, I don't want to keep indulging my more immature defensive nature because of things in my life and in my past that didn't work out the way I wanted. I don't want the past or my more immature nature or defensive nature to keep manipulating me. And I don't want other people who are more immature, defensive, or being manipulated to keep manipulating me. And so Leo of the Strength card, also represented by the Sun, I am going to offer myself love and encouragement. Instead of being more codependent on people, I'm going to be like a loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person to myself. I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me so I can heal from the fact that I could have been in relationships with people and they were hiding, they were more immature and more self-indulgent, more egotistical, more manipulative, self-centered, deceptive, defensive. They are who they are, and I've learned the lessons I needed to learn from them. And I now know I don't like being in a relationship with people like that, and I'm no longer going to be trying to change people. And when people show me who they are and how they operate and function, I wish them peace and I keep moving on. And I invest my time, energy, and effort into people who seem to have tempered their ego more the ego can just be all of our shadowy kind of nature, to be a more authentic, self-disciplined, loving, warm person. Those are the people I'm going to focus my attention on. And it takes time to work through all of that. And when we're ready, that's, when we've completed kind of that cycle in our life. And if we had been more aligned with a way of viewing life or a way of viewing relationships or ourselves in the world, we no longer view it that way. Our Taurus philosophy of life has changed, and it changes then the decisions we make in our life now versus how things used to, because of how we viewed life. And those things could have been influenced by things from childhood, past pain and heartbreak, codependency or whatever. Those things, I've worked through those things to kind of be free of them and independent of them. And so now those things don't affect me in my decision making like they used to. So I'm making different decisions in my life. And there could be people that are confused how you're doing this. It's like, if they're creating an illusion, they're creating a really good illusion. How do they do that? I'm trying to create an illusion that I'm doing that too, but I'm not pulling it off like they're pulling it off. And it's like, because you're not trying to confuse people about the truth. You're not pretending to be something you're not. You really did do this work within yourself. You did temper your fears and your insecurity and your pride and your ego and your competitive nature and your more immature, indulgent nature to not be the same type of person that you were before. It's like you shed that layer of yourself and you're moving forward in life differently. And that's what some people don't get, but some people know they don't really like it. And so you're always going to meet people in the world who's like, I don't know what it is about them, maybe they seem more inspired, maybe they seem more authentic, they seem to really be someone who walks the talk, they expect other people to walk the talk. Well, I like to present myself like that, but that's not really who I am. And if I don't think I can manipulate you or control you and confuse you about the truth of who I am, well, then I don't want to really hang out with you either. Because I only like to hang out with people who I can confuse about the truth about who I am. And it's like, I'm okay with that. You can be defensive to me. I'm going to focus on the people in the world who seem to be more authentic and loving, and you can go do your life. And then there's other people in the world that are doing this work within themselves just like you are, or like you did. Some people already did that and they moved on ahead of you. Some people are doing this work and they're going to be people who somehow come in contact with you and communicate with you and kind of give you the impression that, they'd like to be friends or get to know you more. And then there's always going to be the deceptive people who are trying to present themselves that way. And I think you'll just get to know people to find out, to find out what their truth is. And as you get to know people and what kind of drives and motivates them, the people who you think are more immature or codependent, you're going to distance yourself from them, wish them peace, but I'm going to keep moving on. And those people could be sad too. It's like, oh, I thought you'd indulge me. It's like, no, I'm not going to indulge people who are being more immature and think they should be indulged. That is not a more kind of emotionally mature relationship. Everybody is supposed to temper their ego. And they're like, but I like to be in relationships with people who tempered their ego, who are loving and nurturing. But I don't want to be that person. But I want to indulge in a relationship with you. It's like, sorry, I'm not going to move forward in relationships with people who are like that. I'm done indulging people in their more immature, egoic ways of being. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy Taurus people? We have the Page of Pentacles and the Fool card. Why? Because of the Knight of Pentacles. What they don't see coming, people who are kind of deceptive, manipulative, controlling, immature, whatever. They're not tempering their ego and being authentic in a relationship and warm and loving and encouraging. They're always going to have people in their life who wanted to be in a relationship and move forward with them. But because they keep kind of investing in their being more about themselves and their more worldly nature or indulgent nature, eventually the people in their life get out of their ego about it too. It's like, I can want what I want. I can have a dream. I want a dream to come into reality. But I can't make other people be inspired by love. I can't make people do this inner work. I can't make people look at life from a higher perspective. I can't make people become more independent. They have to be motivated and inspired within themselves to even want to look at those issues or see what it is that manipulates them. Their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, other people, the world. And some of those people are like, I'm not motivated to do that. High Vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And you'd have to do some of this inner work. And it takes time, energy, and effort to look at things we'd rather keep hidden in the dark. And some people are like, I don't want to do that. Did I want to move forward with you in a relationship? Yeah. Could I have thought that would be like a dream come true? Yeah. But I'm not doing that. Because they might not want to see that they do like to be in more codependent relationships, either where people are more codependent on them or try to get people more codependent on them and then try to use the love that they have for them to indulge themselves in a relationship or be deceptive or manipulative or hurtful or unkind. And they might not want to see the truth about that, about themselves. They might not want to see the truth that there's people in their life that they're codependent on and that people in their life that don't really want them to love and believe in themselves and be more independent, but they don't want to see the truth of it because they love those people. Of course those people want me to have my dreams come into reality. Really? Do they? But they don't want to see the truth of it. So, and the people who are willing to do that work, do that work. And some of those people are going to grow up. I could keep repeating the same pattern, indulging my more immature nature, being in more codependent energy, getting in relationships with people who are happy I'm in that energy, or I can see the truth. Both the Hermit card and the Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy. Harnessing high vibe Virgo, where before people were harnessing a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. And when people move forward in things where they're confused, like, why isn't this working out the way I thought it was going to work out? And then you can realize that with some of the people, you're kind of in a more mismatched relationship. Or just seeing through, I can love people and want to keep my distance from them if all they offer me is more these things of the world. Like, but I'd be in a relationship with you, or I'd have sex with you, or I have money or status or image or social clout. You should stay in a relationship with me. It's like, is it creative and inspired and authentic and loving or not? And why would I could love you, but is it, what would make me keep staying in it might be more the ego or the fear. I want it to be more authentic. I had a dream, and this might be your dream, but this isn't my dream. And am I willing to take action on my truth and get out of my ego and communicate my truth and illuminate the truth, live my more authentic life? Some people will, some people won't. Some people are a fool for being in a more codependent relationship, looking like a shining star in the world, want to be in relationships with other people who are more defensive because they're defensive, maybe make their life more about these things of the world and will stay in a relationship more for those reasons, lack hope and faith and belief in themselves and others and love. Some of the shadowy people might be surprised that some people are going to distance themselves from them, and they might be surprised at what people are willing to keep aligning with them. It could be people who they thought were more stable or confident or whatever, and they would have thought, them trying to manipulate those people would never work. But those could be some of the people who really are more on the same page as them. And the people that they thought they could manipulate, those people have moved on. It's like, and then they could be sad because, like, well, shit, I could have been being manipulative and defensive and prideful and egotistical. You know, like if people want to be in a relationship with me, they got to do it my way. And then they could be surprised at who is willing to be in a relationship with them. And some of them could be like, well, no, I didn't think you were the one who was going to come back. I thought someone else was going to come back. And then they could almost feel like leaving because, like, shit, I didn't think it would be you. And the person who might come back that they don't really kind of maybe want to be as much in a relationship with could be someone who is really kind of more like them. And it's like, but you're not the loving, creative, authentic, inspiring person. You're kind of more like me. And I kind of don't like being in a relationship with someone like me because you also are kind of deceptive and manipulative and stubborn and immature and self-indulgent. And I kind of liked it when someone was just willing to indulge me. But if I'm in a relationship with you, we maybe kind of have to go back and forth and indulge each other. And that one, or I just have to indulge you, because a shadowy Taurus relationship can be where whoever thinks that they have more of what people want in the world, and it wouldn't be loving people who are trying to manipulate people, but it could be people because they have status or image or money or attractive or got social clout, could think, well, I have more of these things of the world, and we think in our shadowy Taurus energy that these things of the world are more important, and we discredit love and creativity and imagination and all that good stuff. That because I have these things of the world, you should be willing to indulge me. And some of the people who let go of loving people thought, I'll just go get in a relationship with someone who's more like me. Oh my gosh, that will be like a dream come true, right? Because I didn't like that those loving people wanted me to temper my ego. I don't want to temper my ego. I'll go get in a relationship with someone who is more about the world and ego. Well, the problem is that person then could be the person, well, you're supposed to move forward with me and indulge me. And that could even be something they didn't even realize about their own philosophy of life, that is a shadowy Taurus philosophy of life. Whoever has more is the person who should be indulged, because loving people appreciate what each other brings to the table, and what you bring to the table is valuable. What I bring to the table is valuable, and together those things work to have a stable, abundant, creative, inspired, and we both work to have some of that within each other. And now they might have to indulge someone. And there might be someone that they're in a relationship with and moving forward with, but they could be hiding that either that person is kind of immature and they're having to indulge them, which they might not like because they like it when someone's indulging them. And they might be hiding that they'd like to leave the relationship, that they might not find it that emotionally fulfilling, but because they're kind of a fool for the money or the ego or the image or the status, they're willing to not listen to their intuition, hide that they're more driven by their ego. And while they're doing that, other people are moving forward in creative, inspired, authentic, loving lives. And they're kind of creating an illusion that this is love, but it could be more about these things of the world. And that shadowy people can kind of be in their ego, which can be being jealous and envious of people in the world who seem to have the real deal and aren't being in relationships out of pride or ego or fear or codependency or money or status or image, but out of love. But because they weren't willing to take that opportunity when they were in relationships with people like that, some of those people already moved on. Some other people in their life that are like that are going to move on. And the people that keep staying with them are the people who also want them to keep repeating this old pattern. And there could be a part of them that would like to leave, but they keep being defensive to it. So high vibe people see the truth of it, and it's like, until you become independent of those things, I'm going to keep moving on. You enjoy your life. You keep indulging or making your life about what you want to make it about, and I'm going to move on. I hope you are happy with the people you chose to align yourself with. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.